Hello and welcome to Lioness Podcast with me, your host, Jane Lyon. Oh, you guys, I'm a little nervous. I'm feeling a little shy because I have such a special guest on the show today. Her name is Zaza Historia VanDyke. Am I saying that all correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And gosh, I just have been, well, first of all, I was lucky enough to meet you years ago. You may not know this. That show that we met when we first played together, that was the last show I ever played.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I made like a specific kind of end to my professional gigging career, and I loved meeting you at that show. I want you to know that that night was like a really difficult night for me. There was so much going on, and I really wanted to be focused on like just giving an amazing last show. And I remember you were there and you had so much presence. And I was like, I just want to be with you. Like, I just want to be around you and hang out backstage with you. I don't want to go out there where all the people are that I have to deal with. And yeah, I just remember kind of wishing that I could have spent more time with you. But luckily, I have stayed connected with you, and I have to say, you're like the ultimate fangirl. You always are just making me feel so good about myself. So thank you. So the way I always start this show with a guest is like tell the audience everything I think about this person, pretty much all of my projections of you. And then I let you introduce yourself the way that like today you are feeling that you want to be seen. So, I've already described you a lot, but you were just like, you know what, Zaza, I don't know if I can even try to put you into words. I think that everything that I have said is 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 like I think the most pure like perception I've had of you without getting into like your fucking aesthetic that the listeners can't see, but I will definitely post this video somewhere so that they can. Yeah.
Cool. I did put on a whole face for this, so
Yeah, you're like, I got my face on, bitch.
Yeah.
So, who are you today? Like right now in
Uh,
this moment, tell us about yourself.
well, like you said, I'm Zaza Historia VanDyke. I am a mother, first off, to a beautiful 2-year-old. Her name's Ivy Lilith. She's my favorite. She's everything in my life. So first and foremost, that's what I am. And then I am a performer, a stand-up bass player, a songwriter, a front person in a new and blooming progressive band that's going to be showing its face soon. That's
Ooh.
called Doom Cupcake.
Doom Cupcake.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes out for Doom Cupcake, everybody. I love it.
Doom Cupcake's going to be rad. And then I'm a glass artist as well.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And, I actually, normally I don't really look at anyone's like bios or anything before I interview them, but I just loved yours and I wanted to just like learn more about what you meant by it. The first thing you said is this is your IG bio. It says freedom ain't frightening. Glass artist, songwriter, bassist, parent, and plant hoe on the weekends. That's my favorite part. And then, of course, trans-femme. So the first thing I want to ask you about is, can you tell me more about why it says freedom ain't frightening? Like, why is that the first thing I see on your page?
Because we have this so-called freedom in America, and it's actually a quote from one of my favorite songs by Louis Del Mar called Wave. And I perform that song quite often, but it's just frightening how quote unquote free we are, how people can run into schools and shoot children by the mass, how we could just get our rights taken away at the blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
Frightening. So we have this veiled per se.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel free, and then doesn't seem like there's anyone to make you do the right thing either. So
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I was like, I know there's a lot there behind that. And, just like as I was putting on my makeup, getting ready for this, I got the news that Roe v. Wade has just been completely overturned. And like I feel like for the last hour I've been, just in my mind, just what's happening, going in circles. So it's just so interesting that this is. I don't usually start my podcasts on a political note at all, but it's like, woo, okay, things are getting intense.
All right.
Let's 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 talk about it.
And
And
as terrible as that is with Roe v. Wade getting overturned, that opens up the doors for same-sex marriage getting overturned and trans rights getting
mhm.
overturned. And when you start taking things away from women, everybody else loses too.
Exactly. And it's funny, like it was funny to watch my thoughts go in so many directions and be like, Jane, you'll probably never need an abortion. And then, like, Jane, this isn't about the abortion. Like,
Right.
Jane, this is going to ripple out in so, like, this is going to influence so many people who are not women worrying about pregnancies. Like,
Mhm.
just like my brain just went into so many directions and how many things that this is going to deliberately fuck up. But then I was like, good thing I get to have a conversation with a big old ray of sunshine today and maybe find some hope. And so my hope is that maybe by centering stories like yours today, we can learn something new and like, okay, I was having this thought the other day that I would love to share with you. I read the Akashic Records, which is a kind of like a spiritual soul reading. And when I read, I've given some readings for people of color, and I am seeing this interesting message that I feel like I need to share with white people. But let me run it past you.
Word.
This misinterpretation of, like, there's this thin line between anti-racism and white saviorism. This is so not where I thought our conversation was going to start today, but this is what feels alive right now. I feel like there's a thin line right there. And when I'm in the records of people who are of color, indigenous, I keep seeing this message that's like, we don't need protecting. We are so resilient. We have survived your oppression for fucking centuries.
400 years.
We
Yeah.
don't need your protection. Like, stop trying to protect us. That's not what we need. What we need is for you to get educated and to try to understand. And through that understanding, start to unravel the parts of me, like the parts of my own white supremacy, that I've been like trained since I was born to be indoctrinated into. And stop worrying about trying to protect you and save you when you've survived all of this.
Mhm.
I could learn something about survival from you, because my people haven't been through that kind of history. And then of course there's that line that's like, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't use your Karen powers for good every time you see anyone, basically anyone, talking to the police, especially the police talking to a person of color, or definitely doesn't mean you don't step in if, um, someone's being treated poorly. We step in and we protect all people. But I wonder how it feels to just have me share that with you, because it's this thought that I keep having that I'm wanting to share, and I guess here I am saying it out loud.
Right. Yeah, there's this protection thing that's been going on for so long where people like to talk about protecting people of color when you're right, like we have endured and are enduring the most of oppression all of the time. And like if you want to protect us, then protect our rights, go and vote, go do something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to just like project that saviorism that you actually really care when you're not going to go to the polls and vote for somebody that does change things, or
Mm-hmm.
vote for black people or vote for black women or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, so there is that thin line because y'all are the masses. Like y'all,
Right?
you have more votes than we do. So in a political sense,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, go use your Karen powers in the polls. Go use your Karen
Mm-hmm.
powers where they're needed and where they will change things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then also amplifying black voices and people of color's
Mm-hmm.
voices and giving them
Mm-hmm.
space like you are here to speak and be heard
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
the Black community and the people of color, we're not monolithic, you know. So all of us have different wants and needs, but we all share the basic human needs of wanting to live happy, prosperous lives without somebody coming and telling us we can't because of what we look like.
Yes. Oh, preach. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I have been like so congested all morning. So excuse me as I mute myself to clear my throat. So, oh my gosh. Okay. I'm like all fired up, but I'm going to skip past the plant hoe because you guys just go check out her Instagram. That's all you need. That's all you need. Yeah, exactly. And I'm really curious about this identification of trans-femme because you don't see that very often. And I was wondering if you would just expand on that for my audience who maybe don't quite understand what that means. Share with us.
Yeah, for sure. Transfem, it's used a lot by community, but it's also used in the trans community. It's from presenting masculine or being masculine to femme, you know, like all things femme. So you've transitioned to femme. And it also goes where you could be trans mask and you're transitioning to masculine. And I'm just deeply in the middle of my transition. So when I get to where I want to be, that might change. But now I'm trans femme.
Beautiful. So that makes me curious about like it feels like there's almost an end place where you'd like to arrive at, where you'll feel like you fully arrived in this identity.
Sorry,
Interesting.
driving back.
I don't hear anything in the background, so that's
Oh,
good.
extremely loud. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, most trans people have transition goals and where they want to be and where they see them being. And my ultimate goal is to start hormone replacement therapy, where I'll be and progesterone and T blockers and stuff like that. So that's my end goal, really. But some trans people don't medically transition, and that doesn't make their trans identity any less valid or any less woman or any less man, you know?
Yeah.
So it really just depends on the trans person you're talking to and where they want to go and where they see them, what makes them feel.
Yeah, I think way too many of us assume that like you've got to go through this whole process to become a different person where I guess in my perspective it's just a decision that you make and then you get to always evolve into what that is. So it's been an honor to be thank you for sharing your journey. Like thank you for being so public as you are. I was telling Zaza before we got on the call, like I did some research on you. Like this is not your first interview. You are such a public figure and I want to talk about that, but I want to ask you more about just your journey of becoming who you are. You know, this I just made an episode about my coming out story, and I thought it was pretty like I thought it was a pretty normal story. You know, nothing too special. I was really surprised by the response that I got of people just like, I've never heard a coming out story. Wow, I didn't know that like that's what you went through. And I was like, oh, whoa, we need to share more of these stories. Okay, so, you know, as little or as much as you want to share, like, what was it like to become this incredible human that I'm looking at today?
Well, it's been a journey to say the least.
Yeah.
Up always knowing I was queer, but I couldn't exactly put my finger on it. You know, I'd never met a trans person or a trans woman at that rate, you know, without it being like villainized, because that's how trans women are mostly portrayed.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Utah, because I'm from Vegas, so when I moved to,
Oh.
I met my first trans woman, Sophia Scott from She-Cock and the Rock Princess.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's me. Like that, I'm that. I'm like, women, I get it now. And so I was talking to a really close person of mine, and they kind of like in a nice way, like tried to convince me that that's not who I am. So I just kind of like closeted
Mm.
myself for a while. And then when I found out that I was having Ivy, like that her mom was pregnant, I was like, okay, it's time to be me. Like I need Ivy to meet the real Zaza when she comes to this world, and not
Oh.
that I've built up to protect myself or built up to be like what masculine's supposed to be, that came out in all of the most terrible ways. Like that's, and then I started to break down those walls and remove those barriers. And it's been about 3 years now of doing that. And
Wow.
here I am.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful that having that I didn't know that, having your baby was such a catalyst to you becoming more authentic version of who you are. I'm trying to think of like the timeline back of like when we met and when that might have been going on, but God,
Yeah.
that's so amazing that you were just like I've got to be real for her.
Yeah. She was the catalyst, and I like to say that she's, because I'm more happy, more healthy, mentally, physically than I ever have been. And when I met you, that was a year before Ivy was conceived. And
Wow.
so that was like in the mud phases of me being a closet case, like deeply know
Oh my gosh.
am who I am after meeting my first trans woman, after knowing, like exactly pinpointing who I am,
Mhm.
but still not coming out. And then about a year later is when Ivy was conceived, and it was a brutal battle. Like it was like a couple of weeks of me just like fighting my inner demons and fighting with myself. Like, no, you need to be real and show Ivy a happy, healthy parent, and not this thing over here that you have go away, and you just need to be yourself. And love that she needs. And yeah, it's been,
Oh my God.
and it's kind of weird. Like there's people in our family that like don't see me as a mother, but Ivy calls me Mama Zaza. She knows, and like,
Oh, you became a mother for her.
right. Yeah.
Oh, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I love it so much. So I'm curious, as if she was the catalyst for this, first of all, she is just the most beautiful thing in the world. Like, way to go. Congratulations. And I'm curious, raising her in this world, how are you keeping her open? How are you keeping her from feeling confined or restricted or, like she has to live in these binaries or these boxes, especially in like the society we're in right now?
That's always like a funny question for me. Usually I give like a sassy ass answer. Like first I diaper, and then I feed her food, and then we have nap time, and then wake up and watch SpongeBob. Like I don't
I love it.
know. She's a 2 year old, so she's really just learning how to walk and to talk. And
Mhm.
she's
Mhm.
way smarter than she should be. Like she knows all of her colors already. She's like,
Mm.
but like I don't know. I'm just trying to let her be free and happy and do whatever the hell she wants to do. And like, if I notice things and like I cater to those things, and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, keep doing that. Like, you want to play with balls and sports? Like, let's do that. You want to help your makeup? Then let's do that. Like, whatever you
Yeah.
want to do. So I don't really
Mm.
try not and let what's going on in the world affect how I parent, because ultimately I'm just trying to raise a happy, healthy, free little human. And yeah, so I change her butt and we do.
You're like, so it's not that complicated. I'm trying to keep her alive right now.
Trying to make sure she doesn't jump down.
Maybe when she's a teenager, we can have this conversation again. And, yeah. So
And
you get that question a lot.
yeah, I get that. Like, how do you train? Why, feed her applesauce? But I mean, that's on my mind a lot. Like when she is old enough, sit down and be like, okay, I'm Zaza's trans, like I'm transgender. I was born male and transitioned to female. Like that's gonna be a conversation that's inevitably gonna happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, while she's two, sitting here like,
Yeah.
so if you want to transition one day, you know, like my ult really not to push those kind of gender beliefs on her, you know, just let her
Mm-hmm.
what she wants to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
influence that portion of her life, other than me being who, you know, and seeing that she's free to be whoever she wants to be. So
You're like, I'm gonna lead her by example by
yeah,
being a strong ass woman and showing her how it's done.
right, exactly. And like her other mom's, she's not like all glammed up all the time. She's like more dude broy than I am, you know, like, and always has been. And that's firm that identity. She's just like, yeah, I'm a dude bro. I'm a construction worker, tile setter. Like
Ah,
that's
nice.
her mom. And then me, I'm like, I'm a performer. I'm a model. I do my makeup. I'm frilly.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So she gets like to see all types of different ways that women can be
Mm-hmm.
sides of life. So yeah, I'm not really ever worried about like how I'm going to teach her how to be a woman, you know, just like
Mm-hmm.
being
There's no way. There's no
right.
one way.
And I'm still learning myself how to be a woman. So like how we're
Yeah. God, congratulations. Welcome to womanhood. Wow, and something I love to talk about is, the kind of spiritual aspects of the divine masculine and feminine energies and how we can find them both in ourselves. Like for me, just coming out, it was interesting how all of a sudden I didn't have to be a girly girl anymore. It was like all of a sudden I had this freedom, and I try to tell people you don't have to be queer or gay to like give yourself the freedom to explore your masculine and feminine energies and the way that you want to share yourself. But it is interesting how it's like you give yourself that freedom, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is so fun. We get to blend all of it. We get to do all of it. And so we don't even need to teach your little one how to be a woman because we get to embody all of it at once. And that's what I feel like the queer community is like, we're creating that for the world right now, and I just feel really excited about that.
yeah, I do too. Like my roommate, for example, he's like a chef. Like he is very feminine, very masculine, and very straight. Like, but he paints his toenails, and he's like very like
I love that.
all of the things that like a housewife would do. And his partner works like crazy shifts as like a CF work every day, and he's like at home cleaning and doing the dishes and shit. And it's like gender in our house don't exist. Like,
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's what I love about, sounds like you have a beautiful little queer household that maybe isn't even intentionally queer, and that's what I love is that I saw this TikTok this morning that was viral that didn't seem that crazy to me, but it was like in queer relationships, there's no role for the man and the woman, and they just split what they actually want to do.
right, exactly.
And the guys are watching this girl say this, like, wow. And I'm just like, okay, so I think we should all get there someday where we're all just like doing what we're best at and
Exactly.
finding that flow of the masculine and feminine energies to feel more whole. Ah, sounds like you
Right.
have a beautiful household.
I'm out there like mowing the lawn in like a mini skirt and shit. And my like out the window, and he's like, I'm just so used to seeing you like out there in like short shorts mowing the lawn, or like out there in a dress,
Yes.
whatever the hell. Like,
I love it. Yeah.
yeah.
Living in Utah, I feel like we got to give him hell that way, you know? So thank you for doing that. Yeah, and I wanted to ask you more about like, you know, I mean, I feel, what's the word I want to use? Growing up here in Salt Lake City, I wasn't LDS, and I always knew that I was gay. And so I like the level of like outsiderness and isolation that I felt was so painful. And and obviously I've had to find ways to empower myself and love living here and own who I am and overcome that. And I guess I'm I want to know how you do that. You chose to move here.
Yeah, well, not kind of. Parents I chose to move, but yeah, like my parents split up when I lived in Vegas, and my mom moved here back because she's from here. My dad stayed in
Okay.
Vegas, going to a performing arts school in Vegas. So I was like, well, I'm going to stay here in Vegas and finish my performing arts school. And then I finished there, and Vegas is just like a terrible place. There's nothing but terrible happening there. Like fun, fun. Like you don't go to the strip all the time. You're not like chilling in casinos, just like 18-year old or whatever. Like there's just nothing to do. So I was like an amateur skateboarder. I had sponsors and stuff like that. So that kind of kept me there. And then when I graduated, I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to live with mom in Utah. So then I came and moved up here. And yeah, I don't know. I've always been like a really isolated person. Like if I wasn't playing music with somebody or skateboarding, then those were my friends and we were like very particular to what we were doing. And since I've came out, like, I don't know, people are always like, you're so courageous, like walking around like you are or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't see where the courage is at, you know? Like I just am and I just try to be and whatever. And like I go out glammed up every day. I go out in dresses every day. Like it's just my new normal. And I don't know, it's always strange when people are like, you're so brave. And I'm like, I'm just at the fucking store. Like I'm buying bananas. What the fuck is brave about that? And then I like about it and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess like it is, freedom is frightening, you know? It's terrifying, but it's not. Like I try not to focus on that. So
Mhm.
I try to focus on just being happy. And I get like the weird looks from people all the time and it's nothing.
Yeah.
So
Oh
just
my God. I love you so much. And I think about there's this amazing show if anyone wants to watch it. I think it's called Party Animals, and it's about like the first four women in the Senate or the Congress. I need to remember all these details. Were lesbians, and they talk about how you get to be out there representing. Like you get to be out there representing the whole community. And so, you looking as beautiful as you are, being as kind as you are, being so unbothered by anyone who's staring at you, like, you're such a gift to the world. You really are. And I just appreciate you so much because, if you can go out there and feel free, then why the fuck can't I, you know? And I guess, so what, what do you, part of me is like, maybe you just are this way. You're like, that's just who I am. But what do you do that makes you feel empowered? Like, is it putting on your face, wearing a cute dress, or is it more like playing your music? Is it something inside of you? Like, what is it that keeps you feeling so empowered every day? Because it's just something I admire in you so much.
just like overcoming, you know? I don't know. Like I just like I am just this way, but I love going to like, because I play in this band called the Backyard Revival, and we like it's white folk cishet like music, like, and we show up to places, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm like, just like I have a huge instrument, boldly like very very queer, and we show up to like these country clubs or whatever, or somebody's fucking wedding, and I'm just like, "Hi, I'm here doing normal ass shit." And you're gonna love it, and then they do, and then after that, like people that would never talk to a trans person come and talk to me, or like my roommate's a private chef and he like does dinners in like these $1 billion houses, these like huge fancy ass houses, and I'm his waitress every time he does something, and I show up looking like this in a dress and like I look like more businessy, you know, like, but I'm not gonna not do my makeup, you know, like so I show up like that. I mean, like be able to sit down and talk with somebody that normally would walk the other way or would normally look at me weird in the grocery store and like push their children away, you know, or like those kinds of things. And like one of these times with Chef, like he let these people know, like, yeah, Zaza, she does music. And like they always communicate over the phone. So they're like, when I show up, they hired me to play music. They're expecting like you to show up or something like that, you know, like up and they're like, well, she's playing music. And then they're like, and Chef's like, yeah. So I sit down, I start playing guitar, and then I start singing with my very low, gravelly Tracy Chapman voice or whatever, you know? And
Yes.
they vibe with it, and they're like, they cheer me on. They sit there and talk with me, and we have great conversations. And then you never know, like, that person might go talk to one of their friends, like, "Hey, I met this trans woman. Like, you should do that sometime. Like, you should meet a trans woman and talk to them, and like understand that they're cool ass people too. Like, they're not fucking crazy. They're not fucking scary. They're not these villains that TV has put us on to be for
Mm.
ever. You know, like
Yeah.
that's what empowers me to like change hearts and minds through just being like,
Mm.
yeah, like we're the example. So my activism is just being, you know, like just go
Yeah.
being, and that.
Oh, you're like, I exist. I
Yeah,
exist.
like I
That
exist. I'm
empowers me.
days that I require that I think I know other. I'm at the grocery store in a dress and my makeup with my daughter. Like, yeah, hell yeah, we're doing the
Yeah.
thing. Daughter helped
Mm-hmm.
me this morning. Like, rap,
Oh.
we're doing it.
Yeah, we're taking up space, we're being seen, you're showing yourself who you are. And it's interesting because when I met you, I had you seemed just so comfortable with who you were, and that's what attracted me to you so much, is that like it's like I want more of that. And so it's always interesting to hear that there's so much more going on and that there's so much more of a journey to be had. And I think what you go meet a trans woman. I just love like that just really stood out. That's going to be like the name of this show.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not villains, they're not scary. They're the greatest, most incredible people. Actually, you know what? I have all these stickers. My cousin made these stickers. Black Trans Lives Matter. Because I really think that I come from a social justice background. I got my degree in environmental studies. And so we really talk about like the people who can represent everything that the community has gone through is the Black trans woman. And so here I am saying they don't need protection, but my cousin made all these stickers.
Well, like pride itself, shout out, wouldn't have without a black trans woman, you know, like
Yeah.
she was Rick, she was the loudest, and it wasn't for trans women or black trans women, it was for oppressed queer people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, yeah, so
Hmm.
we we
Just
we've been here.
yeah. You've been here for a while. Oh my God. I just okay, I'm like there's so many more things that I wanna ask you about, but okay, yeah, this is the other thing I want to ask you about. You have pretty much built your career on being a creative, being a musician, being a performer. Like your whole livelihood is your creativity. And I just am all about that. I am hoping that with this great resignation, we're creating a new paradigm where that's like the new economy. I know that's a crazy idea, but I was wondering if you could just share with my audience because I love to talk to creators who have created their own livelihood and how they did it. And, if you just want to share with us anything that's present.
In the present, like just yesterday, like, am I a successful artist? Like, am I doing this? Like my only form of income is creation. Like it's like art. That's all. Like so I'm like, does that make me I'm alive? My daughter has food. Like, does that make me a successful artist? It's still like weird to me, you know. Like I'm doing it. Like my only jobs are art and glass blowing and music, and it's rough sometimes. Like I work a lot to like not be well off, you know, but like I have a place to stay. I have a new car. Like my daughter's alive and happy. She likes coming over to Mama Zaza's house. Like, so I'm doing it. Do musicians need to be paid more? Hell yeah. Like, does art need to be more paid for? Hell yeah. Like, I do think that we're on our way to that, but I don't know. It's still kind of wild to me personally. Like, I haven't had a job in like 5 years. It's wild. Like I'm just doing it.
I love that. I celebrate that. I celebrate you, you know, because I envision a future where I feel so lucky that I wake up and I just create every day and I do what I want to do and I feel very well taken care of. I did leave the world of professional music to do what I'm doing now because it was who I have so much respect for career musicians. I just have to say that like because I couldn't do it. Because
It's
I was like, I did it for so long. I grinded so hard and I was done. And my vision is that this generation that we're in right now that's growing, that's getting wealthier, values the artists way, way, way more. When the artist says, "You want me to come play an hour of songs for you? This is my rate." And we're going to go, "Yes, ma'am. Whatever you say," you know?
more and more now. Like I had a conversation with my roommate and he was like, Zaza, you need to be charging more for your shit. And I was like, but what if people don't hire me? And then he's like, well, somebody will. And I was like, all right. So I tried it. And then like just for this like Juneteenth festival, they're like, hey Zaza, what's your rate for like 15-minute set? And I was like, $250. And they're like, all right. What about 300? All right. And like they'll pay for it. And like with my glass art, I'm like, that's dollars. And they're like, really? That's an expensive pipe. And I'm like, yeah, you want to see how I made it? And there's just this giant fire. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking $100. My skin is forever in that pipe because I burned the shit out of myself. It's $100 and people buy it. And I'm so thankful for all my customers, all my fans that are so
Mm.
damn thing because I can't work for anybody else. Like I'm not gonna not show up in my makeup at some professional jobs. Like so I don't have
Yeah.
an option. I'm not gonna suppress myself. So I'm gonna keep grinding to make money doing what I am.
Yeah, sweetheart. That will never, and that's the thing is that I think for so many of us, it's like that will never be an option for you because your soul's creativity is what's meant to be shared, and the community will continue to support you. And I love your roommate for being like, raise your rates because that, you know, if you're like, oh, I'm creating, and I need to feel more supported. Need to feel more secure. Trust me, there are people in this town that'll like you more because you said you're $500 for 15 minutes.
It seems to be the case.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I just freaking adore you. I just need you to know how grateful I am that you decided to be who you are and be brave. And I have this, I have a lot of theories and philosophies about what I call queer spirituality. And it's this idea that queer liberation is really just human liberation, and that our community, we just get to practice authenticity and freedom in basically every aspect of it. It seems like we're finding every new way to practice it in any way we can. And then, of course, we're inviting the world into that. We're not gatekeeping freedom here. And that to me is queer spirituality. It's human liberation. And I was wondering if you wanted to just share with us anything about like your own spirituality and if you would consider yourself to be on a spiritual path with your journey of even just having Ivy and having this transition and being a creator.
Um, I'm not sure really how to answer that, but yeah, I'm like just mostly focused on being a mother and how to being the best mother I can be. And like everything I do now in life is that like that is my spirituality is being a mother, like being a mother and still sustaining my lifestyle that I love to live, like playing music and being free, and like
Yeah.
human liberation. Like I am a humanitarian on a wide scale. Like I'm a feminist, and if you say you're a feminist and it doesn't include trans women, then you're not a feminist because that's not what feminism is. So like, yeah, queer liberation, women's liberation, human liberation. That's my
Yes. Ah, I love it. Yeah, and that's the thing is that so many people want to compartmentalize spirituality into this one little thing, and my whole spirituality is just about human liberation. And so it's like it intersects into everything that we do, all of it. And so that's a big part of this show is kind of intersecting the queer lifestyle with the spirituality and seeing that it really encompasses our whole lives. And that was such a beautiful answer. I'm so obsessed with you, but you already know this.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. And okay, this is my last question. If there's somebody listening who just resonates with everything you've said and maybe feels like they're a little young Zaza somewhere listening, what would you want to say to them to just keep them moving forward?
One of my song lyrics, it's be set free, it's love that we need. And it's about loving yourself for who you are and not for who anybody else wants you to be. And just set yourself free and be.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so if we want to find your music, where should we look?
I'm actually releasing some new songs on Spotify. It's the Butterflies Acoustic EP, and it's just 2 new songs. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, anywhere you can listen to music. Just Zaza Historia VanDyke. And yeah,
When is it releasing?
July 4th.
Ooh, okay, beautiful. And then if we want to buy your glass, how do we find it? Is it locals only? Can people
No,
outside of Utah get it
well,
shipped?
I can buy my glass.
Cool.
And yeah, you can just find me on social media on Zaza Historia VanDyke on Facebook, Zaza VanDyke on Instagram, or Sassy Ass Class on Instagram is
All
my
right, okay. I'm like, I feel like I follow Sassy Ass Glass. Yeah, I'll call out all. Sorry, what was that? I didn't hear you.
me for commission orders or whatever you want.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'm going to just go ahead and call out all my stoners who are listening because I know I have them. I know I have them listening. And you need a fresh piece of glass, honey. You've been smoking out of that thing too long. And you need something that is handmade by a beautiful trans woman supporting her. So I'm just like, everyone, just go buy yourself something new. You need it for the summer. And go listen to her music and go check out her plant hoeing on the weekends on her Instagram. Are you playing any shows that any of us could come see anytime soon?
Well, when is this coming out? Today?
On Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. Well, I have 3 shows coming up this weekend. And then going forward, I have stuff on July 16th for the Ogden Farmers Market. I'll be playing on the main stage there. And then that same weekend, I'm doing the Biofrequency Festival out in the.
Ooh.
I'll be playing there on July 15th and 16th. And yeah, follow me on social media and I will keep you updated on all the shows.
Dope. Yes, everyone, go follow Zaza. You will not regret it. You will very much enjoy it. Thank you so much for giving us some of your precious, gorgeous time today. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad we got to connect. And yeah, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this precious gift from the universe. Goodbye.